The year is 1941. World War II is raging across the globe. In the vast, unforgiving expanse of Siberia, a different kind of conflict is taking place. A struggle for survival within the walls of a Soviet labor camp. These are not criminals, but political prisoners deemed enemies of the state by the Soviet regime. Amidst the despair, a spark of defiance ignites in the hearts of 7 prisoners. They dare to dream of freedom, calling it the Long Walk, their goal to escape the clutches of the Siberian Gulag and trek thousands of miles south to freedom. Their only weapons, their unwavering determination and a shared belief in the power of the human spirit. Under the cover of a moonless night, the 7 prisoners make their move. Hearts pounding, they slip past the sleeping guards and cut through the barbed wire fence. The icy Siberian air bites at their skin as they disappear into the vast wilderness. Their journey has begun, a perilous odyssey through some of the most inhospitable terrain on Earth. The odds are stacked against them. The unforgiving Siberian winter lies ahead, followed by the scorching heat of the Gobi Desert and the towering peaks of the Himalayas. Their escape is a testament to the indomitable human spirit. This is the story of the Long Walk. The Siberian labor camp was a place of unspeakable cruelty. The prisoners, stripped of their dignity and their names, were reduced to mere numbers. The days were an endless cycle of back-breaking labor in the icy wilderness. The guards, hardened by the brutal conditions, showed no mercy. For the slightest infraction, real or imagined, the punishment was swift and brutal. As if the relentless labor and the brutality of the guards were not enough, the prisoners also faced the fury of the Siberian winter. Temperatures plummeted to unimaginable depths, turning the very air they breathed into a weapon. Frostbite was a constant threat, turning fingers and toes black with gangrene. Hunger gnawed at their bellies, a constant companion to the cold. The meager rations provided by the camp were barely enough to sustain life. The prisoners were reduced to scavenging for scraps, fighting over discarded bones and rotten vegetables. The constant deprivation weakened their bodies, making them more susceptible to disease and despair. Despite the horrors of the camp, a flicker of hope still burned within the hearts of some prisoners. They clung to this hope, whispering stories of freedom and dreaming of a life beyond the barbed wire fences. It was this hope that would fuel their desire for escape. The brutal reality of the Siberian labor camp could crush even the strongest of souls. Yet, in the face of despair, the human spirit found ways to resist. Whispers of defiance began to circulate among the prisoners. Among these prisoners a small group began to dream of the impossible: escape. They met in secret, huddled in the shadows of the barracks, their voices hushed whispers against the ever-present cold. They knew that their only chance lay in careful planning and unwavering trust in one another. At the heart of this audacious plan was a Polish soldier named Sławomir Rawicz. A man forged in the fires of war, Rawicz possessed a sharp mind, an indomitable spirit, and a burning desire to return to his homeland. He had survived the horrors of Soviet captivity, enduring interrogations, torture, and the soul-crushing monotony of forced labor. Rawicz understood that escape required more than just brute strength. It demanded cunning, strategy, and an intimate knowledge of the terrain.
With meticulous care, I began to study our surroundings, memorizing the routines of the guards, the layout of the camp, and the whispers of the wind that spoke of the world beyond the fence.
Their survival depended on his leadership, his ability to navigate not only the physical terrain but also the treacherous currents of human hope and despair. Escape required more than just a plan. It demanded tools, supplies, and a healthy dose of luck. The prisoners gathered in secret, pooling their meager possessions and ingenuity. They fashioned crude weapons from scraps of metal scavenged from the worksite, sharpened spoons into makeshift knives, and turned old blankets into backpacks. They knew that their escape would hinge on timing and opportunity. The long Siberian winter, their constant tormentor, would also become their unlikely ally. The prisoners, hardened by months of grueling labor and near starvation, were prepared to endure any hardship for a taste of liberty. Rawicz understood that information was their most valuable asset. He encouraged his companions to be vigilant, to observe the guards, to listen to rumors circulating among the prisoners. One of the prisoners, a young woman named Christina, possessed a talent for languages. She could blend in, appearing harmless while gleaning information from unsuspecting guards. Another prisoner, a burly Russian named Vladimir, used his imposing physique to his advantage. Each piece of information, carefully gathered and analyzed, helped Rawicz refine their escape plan. As the day of their escape approached, a palpable tension filled the air. The prisoners could feel the weight of their decision, the knowledge that failure was not an option. They had endured unimaginable hardships, clung to hope in the face of despair, and sacrificed everything for this one chance at freedom. Rawicz, his voice low and steady, reminded them of their shared goal, their unwavering belief in the power of the human spirit to overcome even the most daunting obstacles. Their long walk to freedom was about to begin. The first steps beyond the barbed wire were exhilarating and terrifying. The vastness of the Siberian taiga stretched before them, a seemingly endless expanse of snow-covered forests and frozen rivers. The air, though bitterly cold, carried the scent of pine needles and damp earth, the smell of freedom. But freedom came at a price. The long walk was just beginning, and their pursuers would be relentless. The escapees knew that every hour, every minute that passed, increased their chances of reaching safety. The escapees knew that their absence from the labor camp would not go unnoticed for long. Soon the alarm would be raised and the hunt would begin. The sound of barking dogs, faint at first, echoed through the stillness of the taiga. The Soviet authorities, their pride wounded by this act of defiance, would stop at nothing to recapture the fugitives. The escapees became masters of disguise, blending into the landscape, erasing their tracks, and moving only under the cover of darkness. They were outlaws now, hunted by a ruthless enemy, but they were also free men, bound together by a common purpose and a shared destiny. The Siberian winter, their constant adversary, seemed determined to break their spirits. Blizzards, fierce and unforgiving, descended upon them without warning, transforming the landscape into a blinding white chaos. Temperatures plummeted to life-threatening lows, the air itself a weapon that could freeze a man solid in a matter of hours. Food became scarce, their bodies weakened by hunger and exhaustion. One by one, their numbers began to dwindle, some succumbing to the cold, others to starvation or disease. Yet even as their bodies faltered, their spirits remained unbroken. The long walk became a testament to the indomitable spirit of man. Driven by a primal will to survive, the remaining escapees clung to life, their bodies pushed to the very limits of endurance. They learned to read the subtle signs of the wilderness, to find shelter in the teeth of a blizzard, to hunt and trap small animals for sustenance. They discovered a strength they never knew they possessed, a resilience forged in the crucible of suffering. Each sunrise brought a renewed sense of purpose, a determination to keep moving, to put one foot in front of the other, no matter the cost. Their story, though born of tragedy and hardship, became a powerful testament to the enduring power of the human spirit to overcome even the most daunting of obstacles. Section 5. A Fragile Hope. As weeks turned into months, the Siberian landscape began to change. The endless white gave way to patches of brown earth, the first signs of spring. The days grew longer, the sun's warmth a welcome reprieve from the biting cold. The escapees, their bodies battered but their spirits unbroken, felt a flicker of hope ignite within them. They had survived the worst that winter could throw at them. They had stared death in the face and emerged, battered but not broken. The sight of that single flower, a splash of colour against the monochrome landscape, filled them with a sense of wonder and renewed purpose. They had endured the seemingly endless Siberian winter, but their journey was far from over. Ahead lay the vast emptiness of the Gobi Desert, a challenge as daunting as the frozen wasteland they were leaving behind. But for now, they allowed themselves a moment of quiet reflection, a shared breath of gratitude for the simple gift of being alive. Section 1. A Sea of Sand and Sky. The biting winds of Siberia gave way to an oppressive stillness. Gone were the snow-laden forests and frozen rivers, replaced by an endless expanse of sand and sky. The Gobi Desert, a place of extremes, stood between the escapees and their dreams of freedom. The transition was jarring, a stark reminder of the unforgiving nature of their journey. The vastness of the desert was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The horizon, a shimmering mirage in the distance, offered no solace, no respite from the relentless sun. The escapees, their bodies still bearing the scars of the Siberian winter, now faced a new enemy, the scorching heat. The sand, fine and powdery, seeped into their boots, chafing their already blistered feet. With each step, they sank ankle deep, their progress agonizingly slow. The silence, broken only by the whisper of the wind, was deafening. It was a silence that spoke of isolation, of a vastness that could swallow a man whole, leaving no trace behind. Yet, the escapees pressed onward, their determination fueled by a flicker of hope that refused to be extinguished. They had survived the Siberian winter, endured hardships that would have broken lesser men. The Gobi Desert, though formidable, could not extinguish the fire that burned within their souls. Section 2. The Scorching Sun. The sun, a relentless presence in the cloudless sky, beat down upon them with a vengeance. The heat, amplified by the reflective sand, bore down on them, sapping their strength, stealing their precious moisture with every breath. Thirst became their constant companion, a burning sensation that consumed their thoughts, their every waking moment. Their supply of water, carefully rationed, dwindled with alarming speed. The escapees, their lips cracked and bleeding, their tongues swollen with thirst, began to experience the first signs of dehydration. Dizziness, nausea, and hallucinations plagued their minds, blurring the line between reality and delirium. The desert, once a silent adversary, now seemed to taunt them, its shimmering mirages offering false promises of oasis and relief. They stumbled through the shifting sands, their bodies on the verge of collapse, driven by a desperate hope that each dune they crested would reveal a source of life-giving water. Their journey, already a testament to human endurance, became a desperate race against time, a battle against the unforgiving elements that threatened to consume them entirely. Section 3. Mirages of Hope and Despair. The desert played tricks on their minds, conjuring up visions of shimmering lakes, lush oases, and distant cities. These mirages, cruel reminders of their thirst and exhaustion, offered fleeting moments of hope, only to shatter them with the crushing realization of their illusion. The escapees, their minds weakened by dehydration, struggled to separate reality from hallucination. They saw things that weren't there: flowing rivers, shady trees, even the faces of loved ones long left behind. These visions, both comforting and terrifying, became a constant reminder of their vulnerability, the fragility of their sanity in the face of such extreme conditions. Ravitch, his own mind teetering on the brink, recognized the danger of these mirages. He knew that to succumb to their allure was to surrender to despair, to embrace a death as silent and unforgiving as the desert itself. He urged his companions to resist the temptation, to focus on the present moment, to keep moving, to cling to the faintest glimmer of hope that sustained them. Their journey, once a physical challenge, became a battle for their very souls, a fight against the insidious whispers of despair that echoed through the desolate landscape. Section 4. The kindness of strangers. Just when their hope began to dwindle, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit emerged from the desolate landscape. A nomadic family, their faces etched with the harsh beauty of the desert, discovered the exhausted escapees near collapse. These strangers, accustomed to the unforgiving nature of their surroundings, recognized the desperation in the eyes of the weary travelers. With a compassion that transcended language and cultural barriers, they offered the escapees the most precious of gifts: water and shelter. The nomads, their lives intimately intertwined with the rhythms of the desert, shared their meager supplies, providing respite from the relentless sun and a moment of human connection. In a world that had seemed devoid of compassion, this act of kindness, a beacon of hope in the desolate landscape, served as a powerful reminder of the inherent goodness that resides within humanity. The nomads, though possessing little in the material world, shared what they had freely, recognizing the shared humanity that bound them to these strangers. This encounter, brief but profound, breathed new life into the weary escapees. It reminded them that even in the most desolate of places, compassion and empathy could bloom, offering a lifeline to those teetering on the brink. Section 5. A test of faith. Their encounter with the nomads, though brief, had a profound impact on the escapees. They had witnessed firsthand the power of compassion, the enduring strength of the human spirit in the face of adversity. Their faith in humanity, shaken by the horrors they had endured, was restored. As they bid farewell to their benefactors and continued their journey across the vast desert, they carried with them a renewed sense of purpose. The Gobi, once a symbol of their isolation and despair, now represented the potential for kindness and connection in the most unexpected of places. Their ordeal, far from breaking them, had forged an unbreakable bond of camaraderie and resilience. They had stared death in the face and emerged, battered but not broken, their spirits tempered by the fires of hardship. The road ahead remained long and perilous, but they faced the unknown with a newfound determination, their hearts filled with gratitude for the kindness they had received and the unwavering belief that their long walk to freedom would one day lead them home. Section 1. At the Foot of Giants. The Gobi Desert, a trial by fire and thirst, finally relinquished its grip on the escapees. Emerging from the sea of sand, they found themselves at the foot of a new and formidable challenge, the Himalayas. The sight of these colossal mountains, their peaks piercing the heavens, filled them with a mixture of awe and trepidation. Gone were the relentless sun and endless dunes, replaced by a chilling wind that carried the scent of pine needles and the distant roar of unseen waterfalls. The air, thin and cold, stung their lungs with each breath, a stark contrast to the stifling heat of the desert. The escapees, their bodies weary but their spirits unbroken, began their ascent. The terrain, rugged and unforgiving, tested their resolve with every step. They scrambled over loose scree, navigated treacherous ice fields, and clung to narrow mountain paths that disappeared into swirling mists. The Himalayas, a place of breathtaking beauty and unforgiving harshness, demanded every ounce of their strength, pushing them to the very edge of human endurance. Yet they climbed, driven by a force more powerful than fear or exhaustion. The unwavering belief that freedom lay beyond those towering peaks. Section 2. The Thinning Air. As they ascended higher, the air grew thin, each breath a labour. The escapees, their bodies starved for oxygen, felt a crushing fatigue descend upon them. Their hearts pounded in their chests, their lungs burned with each shallow gasp. The altitude sickness, insidious and debilitating, began to take its toll. Headaches, nausea and dizziness plagued them, their movements becoming sluggish and uncoordinated. They stumbled and fell, their weakened bodies struggling to find balance on the treacherous mountain paths. Ravitch, his own body racked with pain, urged his companions onward. He knew that to succumb to the altitude sickness was to surrender to the mountain, to relinquish their hard-won freedom. He reminded them of the sacrifices they had made, the miles they had endured, the hope that had sustained them through the darkest of nights. They climbed in silence, their laboured breaths the only sound in the vastness of the mountains. Each step was a victory, a testament to the indomitable spirit that burned within them. They were like ants on the back of a slumbering giant, insignificant yet unwavering in their pursuit of the summit. Section 3. A Mountain of Sorrows. The Himalayas, a place of breathtaking beauty, were also a graveyard for countless dreams. The escapees, their numbers already diminished by the hardships of their journey, now faced their greatest loss. One by one, their companions succumbed to the unforgiving conditions. Some perished from exposure, their bodies succumbing to the relentless cold. Others, weakened by starvation and altitude sickness, simply lost the will to go on. Each loss was a crushing blow, a testament to the fragility of life in the face of such overwhelming odds. They buried their dead in the shadow of the mountains, marking their graves with simple cairns of stones. There were no words, no tears, only the shared grief that weighed heavily upon their hearts. They had started their journey as a band of brothers, united by a common goal. Now their numbers dwindled. They clung to the memory of their fallen comrades, their sacrifice a constant reminder of the preciousness of freedom. The Himalayas, a place of both awe and sorrow, bore witness to their resilience, their unwavering determination to honor the memory of their fallen brothers by reaching their destination. The price of freedom. Survivors, battered and tempered by loss, stood at a high mountain pass. The air was thin and cold, but the view was breathtaking. Behind them lay the treacherous peaks of the Himalayas, Ahead, the foothills of the Himalayas, a promise of hope. They had paid a heavy price for their freedom. They emerged victorious, their spirits unbroken. Section 1. Sanctuary. After what felt like an eternity, the landscape began to soften. Gone were the stark, unforgiving vistas of the mountains and deserts, replaced by the vibrant hues of life renewed. Rolling green hills, dotted with colourful wildflowers, stretched out before them. The air, warm and humid, carried the scent of jasmine and damp earth. The Himalayas, once an insurmountable barrier, now stood as a silent guardian behind them. They had reached India, a land they had only dared to dream of. The sight of their first human settlement in months filled them with overwhelming relief. Timidly they approached, their bodies weary, their clothes ragged and torn. The villagers greeted them with a kindness that brought tears to their eyes. Words failed them, but their story, etched on their faces, needed no translation. These strangers offered them food, water, and a place to rest. For the first time in over a year, the escapees allowed themselves to believe that they were truly free. Section 2. A legacy forged in freedom. The long walk, a testament to the indomitable spirit of man, had come to an end. Of the 7 who had dared to escape the Siberian gulag, only 3 survived to taste the sweetness of freedom. Their journey, a tale of unimaginable hardship, courage and resilience, would forever be etched in their hearts. The world embraced their story as a beacon of hope in a time of darkness. Slavomir Rawicz wrote The Long Walk, captivating readers with its powerful message of survival. The escape from the Siberian labor camp continues to inspire generations. It serves as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope can endure.